Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You reach for your nightstand, but there is no smartphone. You get out of bed, and there's no social media feed to scroll through while you drink your coffee. You head to work, but there's no Google to answer your questions instantly. There's no Uber to take you there. There's no Amazon package waiting at your door. It feels like we've traveled back in time, doesn't it? But we haven't. This is the year 2025. It's simply a world where one specific place never existed. For the last 50 years, a small stretch of land in Northern California has dictated how the entire human species communicates, works, and thinks. Silicon Valley isn't just a place, it's the engine of the modern world. But what if that engine never started? What if the orchards of Santa Clara Valley remained just that, orchards? Would we be living in a technological dark age? Or would we be living in a slower, quieter, and perhaps happier world? Welcome to the timeline where the tech giants never rose. To understand how we lose the future, we first have to look at the past. In our reality, Silicon Valley didn't happen by accident. It was a perfect storm. You had Stanford University, military funding, and a specific culture of rebellion. But there's one man who started it all, William Shockley. He was a genius who co-invented the transistor. He moved to Palo Alto in 1956 to be near his sick mother. He started a company, hired the smartest minds, and then treated them so badly that 8 of them quit. These traitorous 8 went on to found Intel, AMD, and basically every company that matters today. But in our alternate timeline, let's make one small change. Let's say Shockley's mother lived in Boston, not California. Or let's say Stanford University decided to focus on law instead of engineering. Shockley stays on the East Coast. The traitorous 8 never meet in California. The silicon chips that power our lives are never mass-produced in the Santa Clara Valley. The spark doesn't catch fire. Pause for a moment and visualize this new map. California remains an agricultural state, famous for its oranges and walnuts, not its microchips. San Francisco is just a nice tourist city with affordable rent, not a playground for billionaires. But the biggest difference isn't in the geography, it's in the culture. In our world, Silicon Valley gave us the philosophy of move fast and break things. It gave us the startup garage, the hoodie-wearing billionaire, and the idea that technology should disrupt everything. In this alternate timeline, that culture never emerges. Technology still advances, but it looks completely different. It's corporate, it's slow, it's worn in a suit and tie. So where does the technology come from? Without Silicon Valley, the center of gravity shifts to the East Coast, specifically Route 128 in Boston. In the 1960s and 70s, Boston was actually Silicon Valley's rival. But Boston's tech culture was different. It was rigid. It was dominated by massive corporations like DC and Wong Laboratories. They didn't care about putting a computer in your home. They cared about selling massive mainframes to banks and the government. In this timeline, the personal computer revolution never happens the way we know it. There's no homebrew computer club. There's no Steve Wozniak showing a circuit board to Steve Jobs. There is no Apple. Computers remain serious tools for serious people. By 2025, you might have a computer terminal in your office, but you don't have a laptop in your backpack. The concept of a personal device that holds your entire life is seen as absurd. Why would a regular person need that much processing power? This leads us to the most dramatic change, the Internet. The Internet was created by the military, not Silicon Valley, so it would still exist. But without the commercial explosion of the 90s, without Netscape, without Google, without the dot-com boom, the Internet remains a digital library. It's a place for academics to share research papers. It's text-based. There's no streaming video. There's no YouTube. There's no cloud. Imagine a world where if you want to watch a movie, you have to go to a physical store to rent it. If you want to listen to music, you buy a CD. If you want to talk to a friend, you call their house and hope they're home. The economy would be unrecognizable. Today, the 5 biggest companies in the world are all tech giants born from the Silicon Valley ecosystem. In this alternate timeline, the biggest companies in 2025 are likely ExxonMobil, General Motors, and General Electric. The US economy would be smaller, but perhaps more stable. We would not have had the dot-com crash of 2000. We might not have seen the massive wealth inequality that stems from tech stock options. However, the United States pays a heavy price geopolitically. In the 1980s, Japan was dominating the consumer electronics market. Sony, Nintendo, Toshiba, they were the kings. In our timeline, the US fought back through software and the internet. In a world without Silicon Valley, Japan becomes the undisputed technological superpower of the 21st century. The Walkman evolves, but the iPhone never arrives. We would all be carrying Japanese gadgets that are great at playing music and taking photos, but they aren't smart. The US becomes a supplier of raw materials and military might, while the innovation happens in Tokyo, and later perhaps in Shenzhen. But let's talk about daily life. Let's talk about you. Without Silicon Valley, there is no social media, no Facebook to influence elections, no Instagram to make you feel bad about your body image, no TikTok to shorten your attention span to 15 seconds. The psychological landscape of humanity is completely different. We're less anxious, we're less polarized. We don't live in echo chambers created by algorithms designed to make us angry. But we are also less connected. You don't know what your high school friend had for lunch. You can't FaceTime your grandmother on the other side of the country. The world feels bigger, wider, and lonelier. And what about the gig economy? Uber, Airbnb, DoorDash. These rely on the smartphone. Without them, taxis are still the only way to get around. Hotels are the only place to stay. The convenience we're addicted to vanishes. You have to plan your day. You have to carry a paper map. You have to remember phone numbers. There's a darker side to this stagnation, though. Silicon Valley didn't just give us angry birds and selfies. It accelerated medical research. It gave us tools to map the human genome. It gave us electric cars. Without the pressure from Tesla, a Silicon Valley creation, the auto industry likely sticks to gasoline for decades longer. Climate change might be accelerating even faster because the technology to fight it is being developed too slowly by risk-averse corporations on the East Coast. So, we arrive at the ultimate question. We often complain about big tech. We hate the surveillance, the data mining, the addiction. But would we actually trade it? Imagine standing in line at the bank on a Friday afternoon because there's no banking app. Imagine getting lost in a new city because there's no GPS on your phone. Imagine not knowing the answer to a question immediately. This alternate world is a world of friction. Everything takes longer. Everything is harder. But in that friction, there's reality. You're forced to interact with the world, not a screen. I want to turn this question over to you. If you could push a button and erase Silicon Valley from history, wiping out social media and smartphones, but also losing the internet as we know it, would you do it? Would you prefer the slow, quiet, disconnected life? Or is the chaos of the digital age the price we pay for progress? Let me know your verdict in the comments. I'm genuinely curious if anyone would actually choose the timeline of the 1990s forever. History is fragile. A sick mother in 1956 determined how 8 billion people live today. It reminds us that the future isn't inevitable. It's built by people, by choices, and sometimes by pure chance. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a world without tech, make sure to subscribe. We explore a new what-if scenario every week, peeling back the layers of what could have been. Next time, we're going to explore a scenario that changes the very map of the United States. What if the Louisiana Purchase never happened? You don't want to miss that. Thanks for watching, and try to put your phone down for a bit today, if you can.